Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about sustainable consumption in relation to consumerism, the commons, and environmental value systems. Firstly, what does it mean? Let me know the definition according to you in the comments section. But before that, uh, it is a cluster of individual behaviors and a set of policy practices. The notion of sustainable consumption remains profoundly unsettled. The term is used in divergent ways by different actors to describe or prescribe everything from individual acts of conscious consumption to consumption shifting policy measures to cultural pathways to degrowth and the evolution of shared consumer practice. Seemingly anything that involves both sustainability, which is itself a contested concept, and consumption counts as sustainable consumption. This talks about the three paradoxes: the individual consumer paradox, the paradox of definition, the paradox of power, and we will delve into these paradoxes in the next slides. The individual consumer paradox is talking about how the individual consumption cannot be divorced from complex forces operating at various levels because it is embedded in social, cultural, and material contexts. In other words, fully understanding existing consumption patterns by seeing individual as more than consumers and viewing individual consumption choices as more than narrow transactions meant to satisfy objective material needs. This arises from dominance of economics, psychology, and business studies, which center on the individual as the primary unit of analysis. However, there is a need to shift focus from the individual consumer to large systems and structures that shape consumption behaviors. The paradox of definition. So, in this, sustainable consumption remains an ill-defined concept. There is a requirement for stronger definitions for organizing research and policy efforts. However, those may constrain the diversity of perspective and approaches. Instead, sustainable consumption should be viewed as a lens through which analyzing the causes and consequences of consumption allows a broader and more flexible approach to research. So, the paradox of power. This questions uh, this questions power and social change, and yet often shies away from fully engaging with the issues. It focuses on individual behavior, and consumption obscures the larger systems of power that drive unsustainable practices. It calls for more attention to the role of institutions, norms, and external factors in shaping consumption, as well as a more political approach to research in this area. Next, what does consumerism mean in this context? Consumerism refers to the idea that the consumer choice drives the economy and society, often intertwined with political and economic strategies. Consumerism has been legitimized and promoted as a key social development and stability factor. This is tied to social needs, meaning much of what individuals consume is influenced by broader social pressures and ideologies, not just personal desires. Next, relation to the commons. Increased consumption often leads to overuse of resources like clean water, fossil fuels, forests, and clean air, all of which are part of the global commons. This mirrors the tragedy of commons, where personal consumption contributes to the degradation of shared environmental resources. Consumerism, by focusing on immediate consumption, individual gain can accelerate the depletion of common resources. In this case, the long-term sustainability of the commons is sacrifice of short-term consumer satisfaction. In many cases, consumerism externalizes the environmental cost of consumption, placing the burden of resource depletion and pollution on society at large, rather than the individual consumer. This leads to a tragedy where individuals benefit at the expense of collective well-being, like how individuals overuse common resources without facing the full consequences. Call for sustainable consumption to avoid the tragedy of commons. Sustainable consumption involves reducing the overexploitation of shared resources by considering long-term impacts of individual actions on environment. Instead of encouraging rampant consumerism, focus shifts to managing consumption in a way that preserves the commons for future generations. This link between consumer behavior and the tragedy of commons underscores the importance of rethinking how consumption impacts shared global resources. Moving to relation to environmental value systems. This is an important aspect to understand since our different religions, social, political, and economic values, coupled with our surrounding, makes us have different mindsets. Understanding what value system we have helps you our consumption choices and take action towards sustainability. So, firstly, ecocentrism sees sustainable consumption as a fundamental shift away from current consumption patterns, promoting a significant reduction in resource use and systematic change to protect ecosystems. Anthropocentrism focuses on managing consumptions in ways that balance human needs with environmental protection, aiming to secure resources for future generations without radical lifestyle changes. Now, and technocentrism believes that the technology can reconcile consumption with sustainability, allowing economic growth and human advancement while reducing environmental harm through innovation and efficiency. Let's see what ecocentric perspective talks about. Firstly, it is talking about prioritization of limits. Here, sustainable consumption requires strict limitations on resource use to protect ecosystems. Ecocentrists would push for reducing consumption to the absolute minimum needed for human survival and well-being, encouraging frugality, low-impact lifestyles, and a shift away from consumer-driven growth. It talks about systematic change. This view would demand more than just incremental improvements in consumer behavior. It would require a profound shift in the values and systems that drive consumption. Ecocentrists would argue that true sustainability cannot be achieved without drastically cutting consumption and moving toward a degrowth economy. It also criticizes the current systems. The ecocentrists would criticize the current consumerism-based economy for its unsustainable exploitation of natural resources, calling for more holistic policies that consider the impact on all living beings and systems, not just humans. Next, anthropocentric perspective talks about balanced management. Uh, it says sustainable consumption focuses on finding ways to meet human needs while managing resources responsibly to avoid depletion and environmental harm. The goal is to ensure that future generations can continue to benefit from the environment in the same way present generations do. Focus on efficiency. Anthropocentrists often emphasize technological and policy solutions to improve resource efficiency, reduction in waste, and minimizing environmental impact without compromising human well-being. This might include promoting recycling, energy efficiency, and the use of renewable resources. Human-centered policy. Sustainable consumption policies under this framework often focus on regulating consumption in ways that protect the environment while still prioritizing human development, growth, and economic stability. Anthropocentrism might promote green consumerism. Example, purchasing products that are less harmful to the environment, while still valuing consumption as central to human advancement. Lastly, the technocentric perspective talks about technological innovation, which is sustainable consumption means using technology to reduce the environmental impact of consumption. This could include developing more energy efficient products, cleaner production processes, renewable energy sources, and advancements in waste management, such as circular economy models. Continuing growth, technocentrists believe that the consumption does not have to be drastically reduced to be sustainable. Instead, the focus is on making consumption more efficient and less harmful. They see technological progress as the key to decoupling economic growth from environmental degradation. Market and policy solutions often support market-based solutions like carbon trading, eco-labeling, and incentives for businesses to adopt cleaner technologies. Sustainable consumption from this view would be driven by consumer demand for greener products and the ability of the market to innovate solutions to environmental problems. These are the references that I use, and this will be available in the description box below. Thank you for watching. Do like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.